Big topic today. I've said this before. The only thing harder than running against Donald Trump is covering Donald Trump. Very difficult to cover him. Okay. Why is it difficult to cover him? The press doesn't like him in the main. As Jonathan Alter has said here and others say regularly, he lies, he's cruel, he does things that no politician have ever done outside the norm. And you can't keep up with fact checking him. However, the press, because they're liberally biased and because they don't like Donald Trump, they regularly do things that are wrong. They're taking something Trump did and they're twisting it. They do that to Kamala Harris too. They do that to Joe Biden. They do that to politicians. But when I played high school basketball, my coach always told me an error in the first quarter is a mistake, a turnover is not as bad as a turnover or a missed shot in the fourth quarter because there's less time to make up for the error. Okay. 4 days out, the press doing something unfair can have a real impact on the race. And we've seen in the last few days extraordinary unfairness to Donald Trump. Now, again, there are people on the left and people in the media who say, screw him. He must be stopped at all costs. And he lies so much. What does it matter? The calibration of our holding him accountable. And what I'm here to tell you is some of the things that happened in the last few days are extraordinarily unfair. Now, they may keep him from winning, or they may backfire, as a lot of the unfairness in the press does. But because we're every day, we're moving so quickly with such great velocity, it really troubles me to see people in my profession commit malpractice. I'm rooting for Donald Trump. I'm not predicting he'll win. I'm just telling you, the malpractice on the part of the press in treating Donald Trump unfairly is a shame. It's a shame, okay? And it's not unnoticed in conservative circles, but it may keep Donald Trump from winning. The press may be committing massive in-kind contributions here. I'll say again, he needs to be held accountable, of course. Let me run through the examples. Okay, forget Madison Square Garden versus Joe Biden and the ways those were covered. That's a little harder to be fully clear on qualification, in quantitative and qualitative terms of just how unfair that was to Donald Trump. But believe me, it was. Here are things that are unambiguous. Tucker Carlson made about in the forever wars, okay? He did not call for her assassination. He did not wish her to be shot. And the coverage in the dominant media is so up is down, down is up, that it's almost impossible for me to describe it to you. It couldn't be more unfair, okay? Just if we want to talk about it when we open up the floor, we can. But it could not be more unfair. They have selectively edited what he said. They have mistaken the meaning. And I can't tell you, even though I've worked in these newsrooms, I can't tell you if they know what they're doing or not. In other words, if they're doing it on purpose or it's some sort of reflex. But it is outrageous, this close to an election, to take his words about the forever wars and the plain meaning he had. Now, you may say the way he expressed his position was too violent to suggest her facing guns, but he did not call for her assassination. He was making a point about the forever wars. And that is, by the way, an issue on which his position is more popular than a lot of Democrats. Okay? Number one. Number two, I'm going to show you a piece of video. This is a smaller example, but I want to show it to you. Donald Trump has brought some lawsuits, as have the Democrats, related to pre-election casting and counting. And you can say that all the lawsuits he fired in 2000, which were dismissed, many on procedural grounds, some on substantive grounds, demonstrate that he's not a good faith actor when it comes to election casting and counting litigation. But in 2024, he's won some of those cases. So here is a Washington Post version, kind of what some would call a poor man's version of two-way. Jonathan Capehart, Ruth Marcus, two liberals, and Hugh Hewitt, a conservative, talking about the cases that Trump has brought, which, by the way, as you'll hear Hugh Hewitt say, Trump won. Roll that, please.
The last umpty-ump months. No election can be fair unless in Donald Trump's mind, unless Donald Trump wins it. And I think we are going to see him both rev up his supporters to contest elections. outside of courtrooms and go to every courtroom he can in America where it's relevant to make whatever arguments he can, no matter how far-fetched. We saw how
Jonathan,
that
I've
worked
got to
out
speak
last
up.
time, but it didn't work
Let
out
Ruth
this time.
finish,
It
Hugh.
may not work. That may not happen this time. And now I'll let you go, Hugh.
Well, I've just got to say, we're news people, even though we're at the opinion section. It's got to be reported. Bucks County was reversed by the court and instructed to open up extra days because they violated the law and told people to go home. So that lawsuit was brought by the Republican National Committee, and it was successful. The Supreme Court ruled that Glenn Youngkin was successful. We are news people, even though we have opinions, and we have to report the whole story if we bring up part of the story. So yes, he's upset about Bucks County, but he was right and he won in court. That's the story.
I'll let you keep going, Jonathan.
No, I don't appreciate being lectured about reporting when many times you come here saying lots of things that aren't
I won't
based
come
in
back,
fact.
Jonathan. I'm
But
done. I'm done. This is the most unfair election ad I have ever been a part of. You guys are working. That's fine. I'm done.
So Ruth, you wrote a column this week ending with this line, and actually I think this is perfect. We're going to
Okay. So I'm hoping to storm out like that on some episode of the morning meeting before Election Day, just so you know. But what's happening there? Hugh Hewitt is under the burden of dealing with two liberals who want to say Donald Trump's election litigation is a joke and it's part of his denialism. And Hugh's saying, well, in these two cases, not insignificant cases, is not denialism. The courts upheld Donald Trump's point of view. And they mock him. And Hugh storms off. Again, small example, I showed it because the video is good, but it also illustrates the furor on the right about unfair treatment in the press.